Welcome everyone. This is Donna McDonald. I'm your National Executive Director, and here we are. It is March 10th, and I am so excited to talk with you and have introduced Lynda Chriboga to you. But before we jump in and do that, I just want to talk about what exciting things we have happening right now in the Pampered Chef. And first of all, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. We have that amazing $19.80 kit. So I hope that you all are, really taking that seriously and inviting, everyone that you know who needs Pampered Chef. And you know what? One of the things that I always say about Pampered Chef is that we have an unlimited market because everyone eats. And Pampered Chef right now is a product that is so needed because we really need to get families back around the table, really connect with people. I'm going to tell you, with what we have going on in the world right now, virtual parties are what are keeping people connected. People are afraid to go out. So Pampered Chef can give people that connection that they need. And again, with a product that everyone can use. Now, we often make excuses, why we can't sell and why we can't recruit and, why you have to put Pampered Chef on the back burner. And you know what? Yes, Pampered Chef can be put on the back burner for a temporary amount of time, but it really can work alongside most life's obstacles. And that was the reason that I asked Lynda Chriboga to share her story today. Her story will connect you to realize that there is very few excuses that you can come up with for not being successful with this company. So I want to tell you, Lynda is one of my first generation directors. She's not only on my leadership team, but she's also a friend. And boy, you know what? Her story is really going to make you rethink when you're like, oh, I just really don't want to go to work today. So Lynda, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to turn the call over to you.
Okay, as she said, my name's Lynda Chriboga, and I've been with Pampered Chef almost 17 years come this May. So a very long time, and my heart is kind of beating out of my chest because this is, I'm just speaking from my heart, I guess you could say. So I have 4 kids ranging in age from, my oldest is 24, my youngest is 13. So I've got kids in all areas of life, if you will, as I'm sure some of you do. So overcoming life's obstacles. So my story starts back in 2006, and I was pregnant with my 4th child. And I kept going in and out of the hospital with bleeding. And I decided to go up to Michigan just so I could rest and my parents could help me with the other 3 kids. And not 2 days after I got there, I went back in the hospital, and we were just praying that we would make it to that 32 weeks so that I could deliver him. And that was not the case. The nurses told me that I could ask for ultrasound anytime that I wanted, and I felt like I wasn't feeling him. So I asked for an ultrasound. And sure enough, his heartbeat was getting slower and slower and slower, and he died right before my eyes. My husband had just flown back to Florida, and so I had to call him and tell him the news. And then he flew back and missed the delivery by a couple hours, and I still had to go through delivery and push and all that stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people even on this call have lost babies, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was like 17 weeks, but every body part is there, and I held him afterwards. And my brother's a minister, so he actually did a funeral for him, and he's buried up in Michigan. But leaving that hospital, I felt so empty-handed. Hearing all the cries of the babies around me, seeing the mothers go home. And when we drove back to Florida, I felt like I was leaving a piece of me back there. Then my story continues, and in 2009, again, we were in Michigan, surprisingly, and my husband, I was doing a Pampered Chef show, and my husband called and told me that he was in trouble and needed to go to the ER. So I very quickly wrapped up my Pampered Chef show and left and brought him to the hospital and was told that his condition was pretty bad and he needed surgery right away. So we decided to fly back to Florida and have the surgery where he knew surgeons, and it was also time for school to start. So we flew back to Florida. My brother brought my kids in my car back to Florida, and he had surgery. 24 hours, the surgery was much more complicated than they thought. And 24 hours later, they extubated him. And he was a physician himself, and he basically told people, every doctor that came in, have you checked this? Have you checked that? And a few days later, a day or two later, they intubated him again, and things were not good. And unbeknownst to me, I was living there 24/7 and staying in a chair and no rest, and it was crazy. Unbeknownst to me, the very last night, I asked him if it was okay if I brought our kids to the movie, since I hadn't spent time with them. And he said, yes. He shook his head, yes. And so I brought them to the movie, spent time with them, came back, went right to sleep because, I'm exhausted at this point. And in the middle of the night, they woke me up and told me I needed to leave the room because his heart was stopping. And he was 41, in great shape and everything. But so I stepped away and I called my dad, and I called an associate of his who was my personal doctor and told them. And they both came rushing over. And I walked back into the room, the IC room, and they were calling the code at that point. So I was pretty shocked. I just, I filled out paperwork and all that stuff and was just bewildered. And the first thing that came to my mind was, I'm going to have to go home and tell my kids, my 4 kids. So at that time, my kids, my oldest was 12 going on 13. My youngest was 2 years old. And, at 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning, I had to tell them that their father passed away, which was extremely difficult. And going through the funeral, and I remember walking around school going, oh my gosh, I am going to have to do this alone now. This is it. And it was a very difficult year. My other challenges have been surgeries. Since 2009, I have literally had 17 surgeries. Last year alone, I had brain surgery and I had foot surgery. So that's a lot. All right. So going back to my husband, we were not doing virtual parties at that point. So that was a little challenging. But last year I could enter into the virtual party world. So let's talk about how I overcame that. First of all, I relied on God. God promises to be a father to the fatherless and a husband to the widow. So that was my number one source of strength. Secondly, friends and family, surround yourself with them. And thirdly, surround yourself with positive people who can hold you accountable, people. I know Donna's been with all of this with me and has been encouraging, giving me time to recover from that and do my grieving, but get on with going back to my why of why I started to do this business. So initially it was just to stay at home with my kids, but get away with them and contribute to the family income. And then it turned into now where I depend on the income each and every month to pay some bills that I need to pay. So our why is what drives us. So you need to think about your why with Pampered Chef. Why are you doing Pampered Chef? Is it to make extra money? Is it to promote to director? Is it to earn a trip? and really think about that. 10 years ago, I'm sure Amy Gibson probably does not even remember this, but her and Jamie, I was at conference, I believe it was the year my husband died, maybe the year after. But Jamie and Amy, I was like, there's no way I'm going to earn Disney. And so that's halfway through the year. And they both said, Lynda, you can do this. You've got this, you can do this. And their belief in me is what carried me. And sure enough, I earned that trip, probably 10 minutes before I could, and submitted that last thing, and boom, I had that trip. So sometimes we have to depend on other people's beliefs in us until we believe in ourselves. Last year, regarding the trip, once again, I tracked that and I earned that towards not the last day. I had a few days to spare, but definitely at the last minute. And I have found one thing that really helps me is that when I write my thank you note to my hosts, I will write in there, you are helping me earn a trip to Disney. So every time that I'm writing that, I'm affirming that I'm going to earn the trip to Disney or whatever trip it is. Another thing that I do last year with Disney, I had my whole office with Disney stuff around. So it was front and center every time I came to my desk. So the same thing for you. If that is one of your reasons why you do Pampered Chef, have cruise stuff around you, have your tracker around you, and definitely believe in yourself. When your why is as important as mine, so if you need to pay bills, you have to come back to that. That's the first thing that you have to believe in. I can do this. And when you don't believe in yourself, again, rely on other people. Also, be around positive people. Negative people are just going to suck the energy right out of you. And the only thing that it's going to do is waste your time. So if you need to cut those people from your life, then do so. And surround yourself with positive people that are going to affirm you. Another thing with the trip, you can't just say, oh, I want to earn the cruise this year. You have to map it out. And if you do not know how to do that yourself, contact your director or your upline director, and they will help you map it out. You can't just have a goal for the whole year without setting monthly steps. And I'm going to actually tell you, you need to set weekly steps. One of the calls I was a part of, it wasn't Cindy Sparling. Donna, who's the brown hair director, upline?
Crystal Jackson?
No, short hair. I mean, long hair. Anyways, she was on with Cindy Sparling. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But she said, I believe it was her, not Cindy, that look at next week. Is it Becky Ishii? Yeah, Becky Ishii, I think. Look at next week. And if next week doesn't look like what you want it to, then you need to be getting on the call if you're doing cooking parties, or you need to get doing messages if you're doing online parties. And if you have to offer them a gift, offer them a gift. They have never once asked me, and I believe Becky said the same thing, they've never once asked her what that gift is. But so if your budget only allows a season's best, give them a season's best. I was actually doing metal straws, and that seemed to really work for me. And just tell them, I'm looking for 3 people to do virtual parties next week. Would you like to take one of my spots? And by doing so, I'll give you a free gift. And then just saying, would March 16th work or March 24th work? Give them close in dates and try to schedule them quick and fast. And believe it or not, that has definitely worked for me. So you just have to follow through with that and track those weekly goals. So again, accountability is super important. We as directors, you can tell us, yes, I want to make money. Yes, I want to promote to director. I want to earn the trip. But if you are not willing to take the steps and be accountable, then it's not going to work. It's up to you. We can't want this for you. You have to want it more for yourself than we do for you. Yes, we're willing to believe in you, but you have to be willing to do the work. And like she said, I've had tons of life challenges. Something kind of funny is going on right now, but it's stressful. And we all have, and I'm sure there are probably somebody on this call or who will be listening to the recording that your life is even worse than mine. But you still have to do the work. And even when you don't feel like it, you just have to remind yourself, why? Why are you trying to quit a job? What is your reason? And get back to that. And, the bottom line is, if any of your answers to my questions are yes, then you need to go for it and believe in yourself. Another one pointer I'll give out is that when I was trying to promote to director, I was on every single call that was offered. I was like a sponge, wanting to soak up every bit of information of what do I need to do to promote. That was my goal, to promote to director, and then beyond that. So every call you can be on, I don't care if you're tired or not, if you're in your pajamas. Maybe that's why some of you aren't showing your faces. Although I'd rather see your faces than I'm not talking to blank screen. But do whatever it takes to be on the call. There's really no excuse. Yes, things come up, like the death of my husband. I'm sure I wasn't on a call right away. But as soon as I could, and as soon as Donna felt like now was the time, she gently prodded me. Now she's prodding me very hard right now, but I told her to. So that's a good thing. But the last bit of information that I want to give you is that Pampered Chef gave us a gift. And a lot of you think that you're bugging people, you're harassing people when you ask them about parties or to join the team. First of all, we have an amazing host program that is better than, I would say, most 99% of other companies. Ours is super generous, and we don't want you to have to spend your own money to do that. We don't need to. They have an amazing program. But secondly, as far as the business, you don't know what someone's going through, and it's basically a gift. And I heard this at conference years ago. There were, I think they put lollipops on the chairs as we came in, and some people picked it up and licked on it. Some people just put it in their purse, and some people just left it there. But the bottom line is, there's going to be some people that immediately are going to take you up on it. Some people are going to put it in their pocket and be thinking about it, and you're planting a seed. And those are the people. Just be open and honest. And if don't think about what are exactly the words I need to say, just share from your heart what Pampered Chef has done for you, or why you're doing it right now, and have them jump on board. Tell them that you would love to help them earn, free products, and you would love to travel with them. But the bottom line is, when you speak from your heart, they're going to feel that. They're not going to feel like, oh, I'm a recruit lead, and really want to jump on board and be on your team. But there have been people that living out of their car that started Pampered Chef, and that was their way to get out of it. And I recently read a story about a lady that when she started Pampered Chef, they were dumpster diving. And for the first time, I believe it was her Pampered Chef 1-year anniversary, and the first time ever she was going to be able to take out her entire family, her parents and her siblings, I think, and her family, her kids and stuff like that. And it's changed her life. So don't hold that gift back to yourself. Offer it to other people. Worst case scenarios, they're going to say no. But what about that one person that you could be the one to change their life, and you're holding it back from them? So don't do that. Speak from your heart. And I hope you got some great tips from my story, and that you make all the goals that you wish.
Lynda, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm sure a few people may have some questions. One of the questions that I want to ask to you, Lynda, is, you know, is there, you said that you set, you know, goals for bookings. Do you also set the recruiting goals and track your recruiting goals the same way that you track your sales goals?
Yes, I recently heard, and it wasn't at leadership. I think it was at national conference last year where, you know, I definitely track my recruiting and my booking messages. But the one thing that she said is if you're intentional about reaching out to other people, you know, so what I do is I keep in my binder who I'm reaching out to. And these become it's my rolling, what we call recruiting list, or I have potential consultants and I just write down what they say and I reach out to them. Because as this business, I don't know if you've heard this, probably you have, but it's a numbers game. So just like you have to reach out to so many people before they're going to say yes to booking, it's the same thing with recruiting. So if you are not consistently asking so many people, I believe it takes 10 to get one is just the average. So you need to go ahead and make sure, are you asking 10 people a week at least? And then work on the next week. So you should be setting weekly goals, not monthly goals.
Exactly. Thank you, Lynda. And of course, yeah, asking 10 people and then asking them each at least 5 times. So asking just once is never enough. So, all right. Does anyone have any other questions for Lynda? You're getting lots of great comments. Wonderful testimonial. Thank you so much. And you know what? I just really want you to take Lynda's story to heart and think about if someone hadn't asked Lynda in the past, how different her life would be, how she didn't have she wouldn't have had those people to turn to. Yes, she had her family and she had her friends, but you hear this from us all the time. You know, our Pampered Chef coworkers and peers, we become family. So we would, you know, love to have more people and impact so many more lives, and especially this month. We have a really big goal. We recruited 181 people last March, and this March we want to hit a minimum of 250. So we can do that together, and every time you come up with an excuse to not go to work, I want you to think about Lynda's story. So thank you so much, Lynda. It was wonderful that you shared that story with us. And we'll see everyone back here next Tuesday. Everyone have a great evening. And again, thank you, Lynda, so much. It was wonderful. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.